Okay, I am 19 now in my story. That's when I started working at Kmart. Um, Around that time, my friend Sherry, she's the one that's been all through my story since I was 7. She's the one that fell through the ice. And anyway, Sherry and I one day, it must have been a long weekend or something. Maybe it was the 4th of July or Memorial weekend or something. But we were in my backyard and just thinking about what are we going to do, and we decided to do something different, and we decided to go to Niagara Falls. Neither one of us had been there before, and I had my car then. When I started working at Montgomery Ward's, my mom bought me a car, my first car. um, she was going to get it for me when I got my first job, but my first couple of jobs, as I told you last time, were like almost a joke. So she didn't get me a car until I started working at Ward's, which was a real company and all that. So we took my car, we only had a little bit of money, and went to Niagara Falls. Now that's about 11 hours drive from where we lived in Jersey. And we got up there, and the first night we stayed in a hotel right near the falls, and it was a really cheap, really crummy hotel. It was pretty bad. I remember the shower had water standing in it. Then that morning we actually went out to see the falls. New York side was very disappointing because it was no big deal at all. But then we crossed over to Canada, and the Canada side was just mind blowing. If you've never been there, you need to go. It's definitely something to see. It's beautiful, amazing, spectacular. So we went there. We went inside the old historic fort that is there, Fort Niagara, and we went in the tunnels down underneath the falls. They give you this rain gear to wear, and you can go underneath the falls, and you can get a good idea of the volume of water that is constantly flowing there. And we took a helicopter ride over the falls. So we had a great time. And we did drop a tab of acid that time also. And I remember Sherry saying that she didn't even feel it. She was kind of on a natural one all the time. So that was just a really good trip, a really good experience with my really good friend. And I remember coming home. We stayed at like a Howard Johnson's, I think it was, and I got some really bad pain. I didn't know what was going on, but it was really bad pain, like in my lower abdomen area. And after I went home, I went to the doctor, and I found out I had a bladder infection, I think it was. Yeah, but I had some bad pain that night. I was scared, I remember. Anyway, also around that time, that's when I started dating Bob, was when I was 19. So it's been a little hard for me to keep it all consecutive orders, but and my little brain is always ticking about the details and everything. So when I started dating Bob, I started getting friendly with his friends, of course, and he had several close friends that he hung out with all the time. And he used to bring me with him all the time to just hang out with his friends. So I was often the only girl with a bunch of guys. And I liked it. It was all cool. They were good with me. I don't know if they really didn't like me or not, but they all treated me good. And we would usually drink some beers. We drank Rolling Rock a lot, I remember. Usually some beers. If Bob and I were alone, he would buy a bottle of Mateus or Lancers rosé wine, and with the boys we would usually drink Rolling Rock, which is a very light beer in a little miniature bottle like that. But we would smoke a lot of pot, always smoking weed. At in the evening, after work. I never did in the daytime or in the morning. I was always good about my job. Now I'm working at Kmart now. Um, right after I started dating him, or he went to Jamaica and a couple other those islands down there with a couple of his friends. I think it was during that time that I went out with one of his friends one time. Not like a date, just as friends, because Bob and those other guys were gone, and somehow we connected and decided to hang out together that one night just as friends. And had my car. Oh, I had my mom's car. No, it must have been I don't know if it was my mom's car or my car. It doesn't matter. But I was driving, and we had drank some beers and smoked some weed. And back then we didn't call it weed. We used to call it we called it pot. We called it grass, and we called it reefer. And there was different kinds. We might call it that. Like Thai sticks or whatever it was. And sometimes we did hashish. Anyway, me and him, I know we just smoked a little weed and drank some Rolling Rocks, but I was definitely high. Shouldn't have been driving. And driving along, and I turned onto the highway. This was I'm pretty sure it was Route 35, and I turned onto the highway, and I went on the highway via the exit ramp, and I was in the wrong lane, facing traffic. I drive onto the highway where everybody's doing 60 miles an hour. I'm facing traffic going towards them. Well, I just pulled right over onto the shoulder and backed out through the exit. But I remember I almost had a heart attack doing all that. That was really scary, stupid. Again, God was with us, because we could have had a head-on collision easily. It didn't happen. Another time, we were all at a party. It was New Year's Eve. I was with that same guy, Bob's friend, and his other friend, anyway, there was 4 of us in the car, okay? His one friend, Freeze, that was his nickname. And then the other guy, there was another friend. So there was 3 guys. And somebody had this van that we were in. I don't remember who that was. But it was New Year's Eve party. And it was after midnight, and we were ready to go. It was very cold that night. I remember it always is on New Year's Eve in New Jersey. But that night I remember it was really cold. And we went out to the van, warming it up. Always back up north, you have to warm up the car, get it heated up so you could ride in it when it's really cold. And we were heating up the car, waiting for the driver to come out, whoever that was. And the one friend was in the driver's seat, right? And I was in the back seat behind the driver. And then there was I think Freeze was sitting back with me, and for some reason I don't think Bob was in the car. I think he was we were waiting on him along with the driver. And the other guy, the one that I almost had the other accident with, was sitting in the passenger seat, right? And we were like just warming up the car, waiting for Bob and the other driver to come out. Well, all of a sudden, up ahead, somebody gets in their car, like almost a block up. Somebody gets in their car and starts driving towards us. Now, this is a residential street, right? But he starts driving towards us and is like coming right straight at us. it was like a suicide mission or something. Like the car was coming straight at us, and our friend who was in the driver's seat, he was just sitting there like this, just watching it. I mean, he could have, I don't know what he could have done, honked his horn or something. I don't know, but it all happened so quick. But he was just sat there and watched. But Freeze, Freeze was next to me, or Freeze was in front. Anyway, whoever was in the passenger seat dove into the back, because it was bucket seats. And I know Freeze was there and the other guy. And anyway, they both like kind of covered me because we were bracing for impact. This car was coming like straight for us. And the two guys like covered me, and the one in the passenger seat just sat there staring. And that car was coming straight at us, and at the very last second he turned his wheel real quick to avoid us. I think we all figured, we were all shaken. We were really shook up. It was the craziest thing. But we figured that guy was really trying to kill himself. That he was going, because he was like accelerating straight at us. And so quickly, we figured he was really wanting to crash his car right into us, but he saw our one friend sitting there in the driver's seat, just sitting there. And when he saw him, because he probably thought it was an empty car, that he turned the wheel real quick and didn't hit us. And we even felt like the wind from them, it just barely missing us. We were all shook up. I know nobody forgot that moment. That was crazy. Another thing, God protected us. He was with us. He was so good to me. So, working at Kmart, I opened the store. I worked there before the store opened, helped set up, and then I was hired as a cashier. So I worked the cash register, the number one cash register, which was the busiest register in the whole store. Opening day, very, very busy. And I'll tell you, even at that age, my legs and feet hurt so bad from standing all day. I had to go out and buy support hose, and I bought nursing shoes because my legs and feet hurt so bad. And I worked that register for 2 weeks, always balanced to the penny. And then when after 2 weeks, they fired a girl that was working back in the cash office. They call it the cash cage. And she was fired for stealing. So they pulled me back into the office. They told me they chose me because I was on the busiest register in the whole store, and I always balanced to the penny. So they knew that I would be good in the cash office. So I was back there with 2 others. Now, one lady was just a couple years older than me. I was 19 when I got hired there. And the one lady was, she was maybe 21. And then the other lady was in her early 40s, and she had a lot of experience. So she was kind of over us, but not officially. We all did the same exact job. We balanced all the cash registers in the store, 2 different shifts, and we did the bank deposit every day. Now it was all cash. This is when credit cards were just starting. Okay, this was 1972. Okay, credit cards were like a new thing, and they had these Kmart credit cards, and I think we accepted American Express also, and that might have been the only 2 credit cards that we took. There was only 2. I don't know if it was American Express or what the other one was, but mostly all cash and checks. Personal checks, but mostly cash, a lot of cash. I mean, I was counting cash, and we had the machine that counted the coins, and a big safe, and I would do the deposit every day. The deposit was like as big as a pillowcase every day of cash and coins, and we would hold it in the safe until the armored car came to get it. And we also did the daily sales report every day because that came out of the cash registers. Um, every department, what every sale was assigned to a certain department, and so we broke it down and did a big sales report every day, and then we had to balance the cash office against the registers and the deposit and the sales report and all that. So it was real good cash accounting experience for me. And I started there at $1.50 an hour. Well, the one lady, the older woman, she kept telling me that I was not making enough money, that she was making more than us. She was making like $1 more, I think, an hour than we were. And we were all doing this exact same thing. But I worked faster than the other girl that was like 2 years older than me. So she kept telling me that I should be making the same thing as her. The one with 20 years experience, right? But, she was really drilling it into my head that we were doing the exact same job and it wasn't fair and I should be making the same. And she talked to manager about it, and he gave me like a 5 or 10 cent raise or something, and that made her more mad. And she was always harping on this about how I was being treated unfairly, and I was working circles around this other girl, and I should be making the same as the lady with 20 years experience, which was her. So anyway, I had it in my head that I was not being treated right, even though I liked the job and all. But, I thought, okay, if I should be making more money, I should be making more money. So I had that kind of attitude. And anyway, I was working there up until for 2 years. And then one day, okay, I still have time, good. Okay, then one day, Bob and his couple of friends, okay? Actually, he had a gang of friends, and they had been, some of them had been growing some pot plants, and somebody stole them, okay? So Bob's gang of friends, they knew who stole them, and they were gonna, do what they had to do to get them back, right? And that night, they went after the thieves, and whatever happened. I don't know, I wasn't there. But Bob and a couple of his friends decided to get out of town before the shit hits the fan. Whatever might happen, who knows? Because I guess there was a fight, probably, They did get the plants back. It was who they thought it was, but I'm sure that they were, I'm sure they threw a few punches there or something. I don't know. But anyway, they didn't want to have to face the music. So they decided that to get out of town. They said, we're taking a midnight flight to Puerto Rico. And Bob said, you want to come? And I said, yeah. Now I was 21. I had been working at Kmart for 2 years and dating Bob for 2 years. I was 21 years old. I was still living with my parents. And, feeling unsatisfied at Kmart because I felt like I wasn't making enough money, right? And I just packed a bag and told my mom and dad, I'm going to Puerto Rico, midnight flight, see you later. And we went. So I will talk about that next time. Ended up staying in Puerto Rico for 5 months until our money ran out. And talk about that next time. See you then. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to the channel if you can. That would be good. Thank you. Bye.